What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to talk about the reason why the market's gapping down right now and what we're going to likely do as time goes on. What you should be watching for as time progresses. Let me just mention that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total. The offer ends in just 2 weeks. Anyway, SPY is testing the 559 area as our key support. If we lose that, I'll be looking for 558. If we break through this, we have to try to get back above our 200 EMA to get a bounce. Be very, very careful with SPY since we saw this very, very big drop and we're at some very, very critical supports. So I will break down more information about this a little bit later on, but I want to talk about something else that's going on. Semiconductors are leading the market down right now because former President Trump said that Taiwan should pay for defense. This is actually leading to a lot of shifts in sentiment right now. So there are some concerns that are kind of growing that if President Trump were to become, or former President Trump, if he were to become president again, there's some fear that this could lead to some complications in Taiwan, affect supply chains, especially as they're being told to potentially pay for defense from the U.S. or and many other factors like that. Say what you want about politics, that's completely fine. But if anything, this did lead to a little bit of fear, at least for the semiconductor industry that's so dependent on Taiwan and the current policies that we have. So we'll see how things go with this. Once again, guys, I'm not commenting on the policy shift. I'm just like trying to say that the market had a more negative reaction to this, at least so far. Now things could obviously change later on, so don't take this for what it is. Be very, very patient just to see what the reactions end up being. For data, just know that 15 minutes before the market opens, we have industrial production and manufacturing production numbers coming out. Then we have some Fed speakers like Waller giving speeches, not to mention bill auctions coming out in the Fed Beige Book. Everything is very minor. I'm not really expecting much volatility solely thanks to the economic calendar. Some big things about the market is the market's dipping quite a bit, especially after that news, not to mention technicals and other factors. I also mentioned to you guys that the semiconductors are showing weakness already. We were seeing this on tech and the QQQ. This is already what I said. It's not like this is new news, so just keep that in the back of your mind. Spirit Airlines is heading for a steeper than expected loss. The budget airline said on Tuesday it's expecting to post a loss between 160 and 173 million dollars. Not the best of news. Many of Elon Musk's companies are also moving from California to Texas. That includes SpaceX and X now, and he's doing this because of many different factors. That is something else that's worth noting, making a lot of headlines right now. So now with ASML announcing their earnings, I just want to note that this is going to be very important. Share price is actually down because of the fact that it's dependent on AI chips. That's despite the fact that we actually have a beat on net sales above expectations, and net profits are also above expectations. But like I said before, we're going to be looking for how semiconductors going to affect this. And so far, with the industry dipping, it's still leading to a negative reaction thus far. So what do I see for this moving forward, at least for SPY? We're barely holding 559. We're forming kind of like a falling wedge like structure, but there's no sign of us kind of like bouncing quite yet or doing anything like that. So just to be very, very frank with everyone, I just want to mention that for SPY, watch 559. If we lose this, we're going all the way down to 558. If that fails us, 557 is the key level because on the 4-hour time frame, that's going to be our 50 EMA, by the way. So I'll be watching to see if that ends up being the case or not. That's going to be very, very important for how SPY ends up developing. So we'll just have to wait and see how things end up going, at least moving forward. But just to be very, very frank, and I think it's very important to be open-minded, at least for these changes. We're actually seeing a big shift right now in the overall structures, at least within the market. So for SPY, we're seeing, excuse me, a little bit of a dip. I think that we could dip a little bit lower, but we'll just have to watch and see if we get some kind of bounce or not. So watch 559 as key support and see if we hold it. As of right now, we're looking more bearish. But like I said before, there could be a bounce coming later. We'll just have to wait and see. So anticipate a little bit more downside, but then see if we could try to hold at least 558 if 559 breaks. For Nvda, we're looking a little weaker. We came all the way down to 121, the level I called out if we ended up losing 125. If we bounce off this, look for a retest of 123.25 or 20 EMA. If that breaks, we're coming back up. And if we don't break that, we're going to be looking for a rug pull. As of right now, Nvda is showing weakness. There is a risk of it actually dipping lower towards like 119 if we fail to hold 121. So watch for that very carefully. You may try to bounce off one of those levels, but there is some downside potential. Bitcoin's also looking kind of weak right now. We kind of like rejected off 66,000, so I do see a risk of this actually dipping all the way down towards our key support right here around the lower 64,300 area. So we'll just have to see how things progress, at least from here moving forward. For others out there, I just want to mention that Tesla is looking very interesting. We have this very, very critical support close to 250. Also, this kind of correlates very closely with where our trend line happens to be from like right this point. So for bullish, you want to get back above 253. If that breaks, we have a gap to fill to 256. If we're bearish, you want to lose 250. If that fails to hold, we could actually make our way back down into this channel, which could take us all the way down to about 245 all over again. So watch and see if we hold 250. If we hold it, we need to break 253 and we turn bullish. If we lose 250, there's going to be a risk of more downside, so watch those levels very carefully. For the QQQ, we're actually rejecting right over here. Make sure you watch this 488 area as key support. Watch 490 as resistance, not to mention 492. If we break above 491.6, look for an attempt to fill this gap to 495. If we end up losing 488, look for a bigger dip all the way down to about 486 and 484. As of right now, the trend is looking more bearish on the triple Q, so we'll see if this continues to fall. There is risk of more downside, so we'll just have to see how it goes. But just be careful and watch and see if we can end up holding support. For resistance, make sure you watch this 230 area. And if we end up losing support at, if we end up losing it, I'll be looking for 228. There is a risk of Aapl dipping a little bit lower, but in my personal opinion, we'll just have to wait and see. Technicals do look a little bit weaker for it, so just be very, very careful, guys. And just know that we have to try to get back above 232 to turn bullish. Otherwise, we are looking more bearish to me. For Supermicro, we're on a bit of a downtrend right over here. I do see a risk of it coming all the way down to about 831, especially after what happened to many of these chips. So just be careful. There's a risk of more downside for the 830s. The IWM is going to be testing 222. If that fails us, I'll be looking for 220. But overall, the trend is still bullish. So even if it dips a little bit, it could try to rebound very nicely. Just a few more, guys. If you look at Coinbase, just like Bitcoin is kind of dipping a little bit. Watch this support right here at 245. If that fails us, I see us coming all the way down to about 242. And we'll see if we bounce off one of those levels. I do see a risk of a little bit more downside before we attempt to bounce. For Amazon, we're trying to rebound. Look for a test of 192. If we break that, we're going all the way up to 193. If it rejects, we're going to be coming back down. So watch for that. A little bit of a push and see if we get a rejection or not. Meta is kind of rejecting, continuing to downtrend. Looks kind of bearish to me, so I'm going to be looking for a test of about 478. If that fails us, we're dipping all the way down to 472, the very, very low levels. To turn bullish, you want to get back above 484. If we do break that, we could be looking for a pushback up to 490 plus. But so far, it's looking more bearish. Microsoft is also stuck in the middle, trading sideways right now. We want to break past 445 to turn bullish, to push back up to 448. If we fail to do so, look for a dip all the way down to 440. For Google, we're trying to rebound. Make sure you look at resistance at 185. If this rejects, we'll be dipping back down towards 182.5. And to be bullish, you want to fill this gap up here. It might try to push a little bit higher to about 185. We'll see if we get a rejection or not, so watch for that. For GameStop, there's a bit of a downtrend right here. We could dip a little bit lower on GameStop all the way down to about the 127 area, but we'll have to see if we get a bounce or not. Even if we do dip a little bit, the trend is more bullish on GameStop. So a little pullback would be healthy. I'd love to see a bounce off like 27 or so. Maybe a little bit lower towards like 24. We'll see. But overall, it could be a dip and bounce like move. Same thing with AMC. Could dip lower towards like 5.3 before we try to bounce, but look for a little bit more downside for now. With that being said, guys, the market may dip a little bit more, but watch and see some key support. We could try to bounce later on, so make sure you see how well we end up holding up. Downside is looking more prominent, but wait and see if we could hold some key supports. Watch and see if SPY holds 559. If not, 558 is coming, then 557.5 and lower levels. So we'll just have to wait and see. With that being said, thank you for listening. Have a great day, guys, and I'll see you guys soon in the next one in just a couple of hours. Thank you and peace out.